Rick Wakeman has gone all pictures at an exhibition on us, and he asks us to touch the music on this most tactile of albums. But is it any good? Let's find out, shall we? So Rick Wakeman releases a gallery of the imagination, which comes out this Friday. I will put purchasing links just below this video. This is an intriguing album and concept that comes 50 years after that solo debut of his, the Henry album. On this one, he's asking us to focus the mind's eye on highly personalised pictures at an exhibition and prime and colour the canvas with our own imagination suggested by this music. It's an eclectic range of styles, of course, musically, which is supposed to represent the eye moving from one canvas to the next canvas. And there's lots of different musical genres employed here. We get everything from very jaunty vaudevillian pieces to classical romantic works, all designed to conjure a specific mood. A mood, of course, suggested by Wakeman as a vehicle for the listener's imagination. And that comes in all sorts of forms and different colours and shades, which is why we've got these silhouettes of famous artists featured on the front cover. This is less spatial, I think, than the Red Planet, which is a concept I much preferred. But if one plays along with this and they consider the image suggested by the music, it's highly effective. But however, I think the Red Planet was proggier, more mysterious, more involving. But that's just my opinion, I guess. This one, in terms of its concept, jumps about quite a lot. It is quite an eclectic range of music, representing different pictures, of course. One has to wonder whether or not Rick just had lots of different disparate pieces stuck away in the can somewhere and just wanted a concept as a vehicle to be able to use them up. That's just me being a cynical old bastard, I suppose. But the lineup for this album, A Gallery of the Imagination, is the English rock ensemble. The same as featured on the Red Planet, of course. That includes bassist Lee Pomeroy, guitarist Dave Colquhoun, drummer Ash Sohn, and the wonderful vocals of Hayley Sanderson, famous for her vocal work on Strictly Come Dancing. The blurb for this album invites us to take a stroll around a gallery of the imagination, a gallery that belongs to everyone. I think the idea for this comes from his first music teacher, Mrs. Symes, which he studied with from the age of 5 onwards. She said that music was like painting pictures. When you play, you paint pictures through music. In other words, you picture something in your mind's eye. In fact, one of Rick's earliest pieces, I wonder if she's got freckles on her tits, has yet to see the light of day. To quote Rick Wakeman regarding this album, he said that one of my great loves is going to museums and art galleries and seeing all the different types of art. So I thought, why not a music gallery? And the gallery of the imagination. People can paint their own mind pictures to different types of music that are on this album. It is very diverse, and for me it works very well because the concept holds it all together. He's absolutely right, the concept is very clever in the fact that it does provide a vehicle for Wakeman to explore a whole range of different eclectic styles suggested by each title. We get all this wonderful journeying into these little mini odysseys, of course suggested by Rick, and the wonderful music and accompaniment of the English rock ensemble. But also contains an awful lot to please us gnarly old prog fans, lots of Moog solos and piano pieces. Piano pieces, of course, I think delving into Wakeman's classical roots. And also there's a marvellous exploration of voice and music, which is something that's not new to Wakeman, of course. We get 8 unconventional vocal tracks by the aforementioned Hayley Sanderson, and she beautifully embellishes this music. And we get a range of tracks like Day Spent on the Pier, which describes time spent at the seaside. And it's so effective in because the lyrics evoke references to Candy Floss and Helter Skelter. It reminds me of my trips to Blackpool with my parents. I can almost smell the fish and chips and the raw sewage. The Eyes of a Child was, I think, composed with Wakeman thinking about his 13 grandchildren, good lord. And the idea of the responsibility of trying to fix the world for future generations. And Cuban Carnival has that hip-swiveling South American vibe to it, which perfectly illustrates the sheer eclectic range on this record. So without further ado, I've made some notes as regards my favourite tracks on this album. The first one, I believe, is Hidden Depths. It starts with this sombre piano intro before it really sort of picks up. Great guitar work, of course, from Dave Colquhoun, and it moves into a great Hammond section. It possesses, in the words of one reviewer, a groovy elegance. Rick Scatzo on his mini moog moves the piece along with some nice faux choral parts as well. Man in the Moon is another favourite of mine. It has a very romantic, shimmering quality to it. The vocals on this by the aforementioned Haley Sanderson are absolutely remarkable. Also get a gorgeous solo from Rick, and the guitar parts have this mournful feel which suggests loneliness. A mirage in the clouds, the voice adds an ethereal, almost floaty quality to this number. How appropriate given the title. And I love the way the keyboard at the start almost suggests a trickle of rain. Or maybe I'm just reading too much into it. And I love the dinner party as well. It has this energy to it, this vaudevillian bounce and a smidgen of boogie, funk and orchestral uplift, all to this wonderful, wonderful, dazzling effect. We can imagine the toing and froing of people and conversation. Wonderful, wonderful piece. But I have to admit, my favourite piece on this album is one I've already spoken about, and that is A Day Spent on the Pier. It takes me back to the fizz and sparkle of childhood days when we used to go down to the south coast or occasionally visit Blackpool. It's a number that invites us to look back, which is both joyous and incredibly sad at the same time. Whenever I start looking back, I start reminiscing on the world that we've lost, really, in many respects. I would describe this track as a fanciful stroll through more innocent times. Overall, I'd have to say I enjoyed this album. The concept is effective and effectively executed. This piano-based jubilee of impressions, it's quite befitting given the title, of course. So this album is A Gallery of the Imagination. It will be released this Friday, the 24th, and I will put purchasing links just below this video for you to go and buy it if you fancy giving it a spin. As always, I thank you for watching. Please do click like, subscribe and check that notification bell, and check some of the links below this video for ways you can support the sterling work, that classic album review. As always, I'll leave you with my closing salvo, which is thank you for watching, hope you're well and safe, but more importantly that you keep listening.